Hey there, I'm Tracy Rigdon, and this is the Contrast Project Lounge podcast. Often random, but always relevant, always real, and practically nothing is off limits. This podcast is for you. Are you ready for this? Let's do it. Welcome back to the show, guys, and thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Wednesday Night Live here on the Contrast Project Lounge podcast with my co-host, as always, Mr. Jim Alabiso and Charles Gaskins. Guys, how are you doing?
Good. Right.
I was just talking about the weather, and I was thinking about earlier when I was reading up on some of Zach's stuff and looking at our guest, Zach Duke. I was looking at his website and some of the photography on there, and I got to thinking about, so many times, and Jim, being someone that swims in the St. Johns River, going down there to the river, whether it be day or night, but the night line down there is just gorgeous. Zach, welcome to the program.
What an honor. I am thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, like I was just saying in the intro there, I'd looked at your website, ZachDukeMedia.com. Don't you have it, Jim? There you go. But that's right. And there's just some beautiful photography. Now, in this really, if we go back to the beginning, you were telling me before, long before you got into picking up a camera, you were into other artistic endeavors.
Correct. Yeah. I always had an issue with like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to, everyone wants to freaking know. You better know when you're 17 or 18, because you're going to ruin your life. And if you pick the wrong college, then you're it's everything, and so it's like this, especially coming from like my dad is an architect and my mom is a chiropractor. So there's this like pressure just by proxy, just of like, oh gosh, I better go and do something special with my life. So I had no clue though. I had absolutely no clue. I went to UNF for a couple of years and went for like marketing or PR or something like that. And it just didn't go how I thought. And then ended up on one of these crazy side quests. I was looking for, I guess, some sort of purpose, more or less. Like, what are you beyond your job? What do you do beyond just paying your bills? And I stumbled into this creative outlet called I called it Dynasty Inc. And so that was in 2011, purely as like this creative itch. It's like something deep in your soul. You just, if you don't do it, your head's just screwy. What led
to that? What led to that creative itch? I mean, it just didn't come out of nowhere, or did it?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, my dad is very creative. He's an architect, and so I'm assuming some of that fused in with me along the way. And so while I'm going to school, figuring it out, I was doing this clothing project, and I don't know why. I just thought it was cool. I was like, oh yeah, you can sponsor events. You can go and be connected with bands, and you can have this like link to things that you want to do. And so I did it for years. I had a graphic designer I worked with here locally, Nick Bailey. And for years, we just did this cool side project. And it was never any like money making like venture. It was purely just like art for the sake of art. I gotta give to the world, yeah. And so along the lines, I started doing events with punk rock shows and with EDM shows, and I was sponsoring it with Dynasty. And so that was all for years. I did this, just events, the clothing line. And I even got to the point where, this was years down the road, I was putting on an event called Love Bomb, and I didn't know it was in the negative connotation way that we know it to be now. I thought, well, we're bombing the crap out of places. What if you are dropping love? And I don't know, but yeah, it's neither here nor there. This was in 2018, and so we put on this event, and for whatever reason, I had connected with this orphanage in Uganda, and it was one of those things that just grabbed my heart and can't let go. Like, it's the people who have whatever causes on their heart. You can't tell the people that care about Palestine not caring about it. You can't tell the people that care about the things that are very specific to them, women's rights or mental, whatever. It doesn't matter if it doesn't matter to you. It matters to me, or it matters, So, I got not roped in. I just like had a tractor beam for my heart with these people, and you just see these kids. And so we designed a bunch of shirts and shipped them over there, and it was fantastic. We didn't get the right sizes for whatever reason. I ordered adult shirts, and I ordered like smalls. And these little kids, they're so little. They're little guys,
Is that photo you have in there in your website of all the kids together with one on somebody's shoulders?
Yes, correct. That was all them, and it was just such a special moment in time to break away from the Matrix, because even in 2018, it was heavy. It's just this snowball effect where it's like you always think that you're going to get a breather year. You never do. The beginning of 2024 was tragic. 23, it was always like, oh God, it's only 2 weeks in. I feel like that's every freaking year, And so we put on this art show.
Welcome to life.
Yeah. I'm just like, please, Lord, 1 second. And, you get what you get. You just get tougher. You just get stronger. You don't get to level 2 by beating a weaker boss on level, you progress and grow. It's just like on Mario, But so we put on this event called Love Bomb. It was a local event, and that was in, I think, June of 2018. And I was painting, doing art, and just experimenting. You don't know till you try, and very few people are naturally good at something without practice. And so you practice something if you want to get good at it. So I painted, and I wrote a series of children's books along the way in like 2015. So I presented this collection of like artwork that I did, the children's books, and this T-shirt with a bunch of different artists and collective, and we put on this event and raised like a couple $100 for these kids, and that's enough beans and rice and staple items that they need to hold them over. And we have, like literally a month after that, my apartment, the roof leak collapsed, and we had to move back in with my parents' house. And then me and my wife were working together at this construction job, and as a team, and they were like, we feel like you're unhappy here, and we're going to let you go. And it wasn't because we were failing houses or lacking on time. It was literally Florida's right to work state, and I don't like your attitude today. You anything but discrimination, and who knows if that's even in the books coming soon or not.
Right.
So anyway, it was the perfect storm of events. I moved in with my parents, lost my job. I'm like, dude, screw it. All I can hear are the loud, ignorant people around me in Jackson. I'm like, I'm ready to just dipset. And then so I get the call from my brother Matt, who was living in Phoenix at the time, and he was like, dude, come out. And literally the next month after that, in July 4th, we drove from Jacksonville to Phoenix, and I was out there for about 5 years.
Wow.
July
You answered the question. I love you just answered the question I was going to ask you. How the fuck did you end up in Phoenix?
It was the perfect storm of events, because very few people can just uproot and go across the country. It's very expensive, very stressful, just reestablishing your network and your just stabilizing your finances. It just takes so long, but we did it.
Because you have roots in one area, and you have to trust me, I know. But all from the East Coast, though.
Yeah, we packed up everything, and it fit in a Dodge Journey, and we had a car topper whole life. We moved across. It was like a 3-day drive, and we went out there, and we're just living, just like I need to experience life from a different perspective. Like Jacksonville's a gigantic city. It's a great city. Sometimes you just want to slam your head in the wall because it's not doing the things you want it to do, or you're comparing to other cities. And I just wanted to go out there and see it. And so I found my way into Phoenix in the summer of 2018. And man, it was fantastic. I loved it. It was close enough to California. You could go over to LA. It was a 5-hour drive. You could go to Vegas. It was a 5-hour drive. Denver, Tucson, whatever. And very centrally located. And man, I'm telling you, like, the landscape there is just absolutely amazing. It's like unlike anything I've ever seen. And I just was like, cell phone picture. And it just wasn't enough, man. I got hooked. And oh my God, that was like 4, 5, 6 years ago now. And it just sucked me in. Next thing you know, I got to get a camera, and now I need a better lens. Oh, but does this camera do good pictures? Dude, and then sometimes the lenses are more
effect.
I can relate to that. My ex-wife dabbled in photography for several years, and it wasn't so much the camera body, although she spent some money on one of those too. But man, every time you turn around, she needed to get another lens for this or that or this or that. She had to have a case full of lenses,
or even a filter.
Oh, it was lenses with her. She had the bigger the better, macro lenses and all this other stuff. She just went nuts with the lenses. So I know.
I'm guilty of that.
Well,
I mostly shoot with a Nikon M2000. It was bought in 1986, and I've got like, I think, 12 different lenses for them, and each one of them costs way more than the actual Nikon. But thankfully, I developed my own film, so I keep the cost down a little bit. So.
Fantastic.
Like my coolest makeshift filter was when I was living in Alaska, and I was on Flat Top, which is a mountain not too far from where I was living, and there was a solar eclipse, right? And so we didn't have digital cameras. It was all film anyway. So I was having my tripod set up, and I'm like, I want to take this picture, but had no polarizing filter for my camera. And I was like, oh shit, what am I going to do? So I went in my car and I found a Joe Walsh CD with all the printing on the inside. So the grooves, they're not really grooves, but the grooves on the CD are polarizers. So I put that in front of the lens and I took the picture. The clouds broke open a hole, and I got a picture of the half of the sun covered up by the moon.
Excellent.
With the friggin' CD.
That's great.
It was great. It was a lot of fun. A lot of pictures.
Yeah.
I got to ask you while we're talking about pictures, hang on. This guy right here, is that you?
Oh, yeah, that's in Flagstaff.
That is just...
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's the kind of stuff, like, Arizona is so magical in the way that you can go from the absolute desert, the valley desert, hot saguaro cactus desert, drive an hour and a half north, you're in Sedona, there's Red Rocks. It's absolutely fantastic.
Right, yeah.
Energy vortexes there that are making you feel good. You drive another 30 minutes and you get to Flagstaff. It's like driving to Orlando and going from the beach to the mountain. It's like absolutely insane.
It's like quite a variety of landscapes to choose from over there.
Yeah,
I got to ask you about this one while we're talking about photos. Where are they? Right here. These guys.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's in Salt River. That's literally like going to Hanna Park if you're in Jacksonville. It's about 30 minutes out of town. It's you can go tubing on this river, and there's wild horses there. It is one of my favorite places on earth. You have this beautiful mountain, wild horses that just come right up to you. It just resets your energy levels. I don't know. That's what really draws me into landscape photography, because it gives you a great freaking reason to just go out there and be in it and just feel it and just man, the world is as heavy as you want it to be, and if you don't unplug, it will consume you and give you heart disease, and you'll stroke out dead if you let it.
That's just absolutely beautiful.
That is beautiful. Yeah, some of the stuff I've seen on your side and stuff that you share, but there's also another aspect. You transitioned into music videos and following bands and stuff like that.
Correct. And that was such a beautiful time in my life. In my head, so I was doing construction, specifically insulation. I accidentally got too good at it. I got good at it enough to where I was doing it for maybe 9 years, getting paid decent. I'm noticing that I'm getting more injured. I tweaked my wrist. Now I can't hold the camera for a concert that I'm trying to shoot. I'm noticing like little things that I'm like, man, if I were to trip up and fall, man, they would replace me before my obituary hit the newspaper. And so in my eyes, I was like, well, it's funny because somebody a long time ago told me something brilliant. He said, you know what? Be careful at what you get good at. And I didn't realize the gravity of that statement until then, whenever I was like, I got to develop some different skills. I'm good at what I do, make great money. I'm not doing this long term. And so I wanted to do a skill and get paid for stuff that I would already want to go do. If I want to go get an Airbnb in Flagstaff or in Sedona, I want to try and proposition them to say, oh, do you need promo pics for your address? Do you need real estate? Do you need this? I was blown away whenever my friend went to Jamaica and filmed a personal video and sold his video to the Board of Tourism in Jamaica and made a couple $1,000.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Can you imagine, I'm like sitting there, if you have this skill that you can almost invite yourself anywhere you want to go. And I loved music. I loved bands for as long as I can remember. And I just got into it. And, I had a really great mentor out there in Phoenix, and because I'm self-taught, I'm in YouTube University, but the thing is, you talk to anybody who's been to Full Sail or LA Film School, whatever, it is all the same. They all regret their student loans that they didn't just invest straight into equipment and just learn it and gut it and learn it.
Back in the days, I had a post-production house up in Atlanta called No Bones. We did like special effects and for films and
fantastic
commercials and stuff. And I went to the Ringling School of Art and Design down in Sarasota. And I'm sitting there going, if I want to go and, get a degree here, I'm going to be, having this student loan thing you're talking about. So what I did is I just needed a few things. I needed to learn just a couple of things. So I kind of took a vocational approach. I did color theory and compositing and textures and, inverse kinematics and just kind of courses like that. And then I bolted. I just, and, I paid
get the fundamentals and get the hell out the way.
Get the hell out. And we did pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally get it. It's kind of like you just plant that little seed, take a vocational course here and there or whatever. And then the rest of, you can just teach yourself. And, the thing is I really, a lot of people don't agree with me with this, but there's this book called, The Beginner's Mind, and it's a Zen kind of thing, like that your expertness will actually box you in and will limit your creativity. Mm-hmm. And I've kind of lived by that ever since I read. My youngest son gave me that book with a nice, beautiful note about, the father and son. That was very sweet. But the thing is it's so true. And even in my working life, ever since I read it, it was like, sometimes it's just better because you're not restricted by some technical thing. It's like, how many books are there, Zach, on how to write?
As many as you want.
I've had
every year there's new ones.
A stack this high, and none of them did squat for me. The best book I ever read on writing was Stephen King's memoirs, an on writing book, right? And there was one thing in there, and this very Stephen Kingish statement. He says, "Kill the babies you love." It's like when you're writing a book or writing whatever.
Kill your darlings, yeah.
If you see a chapter or a paragraph, just, get rid of it and don't edit while you're writing. That was the best thing I ever learned. So I just, as a matter of fact, I went to, I used to bring my laptop to the coffee shop and work on my book and the play and a couple of plays I wrote and all this. And it just really just took all the focus away because you get notifications. You want to do research on this and that for the book. It's like, screw that. You just go take a pad and a pen and stream of conscious, and then you can screw with it later, research later.
No, that's seriously. I was going to say, I'm a fucking high school dropout. I didn't have to do student loans and none of that shit. I would go to the library and check out books.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I taught myself graphic design, photography. Well, I didn't study anything on writing. I just started writing. I buy legal pads and I scribble on it. Start with that, and then I'll sit down at the typewriter or the keyboard and start cleaning stuff up a day later.
My dad was the same way. I have a picture of him. We used to work on the guidance systems for the Apollo missions back in the day. It was all self-taught.
Man.
There was no courses on that back then, though. So
Yeah.
You're on the Air Force. Okay, you know mathematics. All right, yeah.
Hey, Zach, I want to touch on something since we're actually we're pulling back on the time that we're doing on these, and I'm not going to cut you short or anything. I'm just letting the people that know that may be watching that going forward, our Wednesday Night Live show, I believe we've all agreed we're going to cut it back to about 30 minutes. We've been running between 40 and 60 minutes. So it has been running along for years now. It's been hitting between 40 and 60 minutes every time we do it. So
I do want Zach about his books, though.
I do. Yeah, I was going to segue into that. I was going to ask him about the books that he put out for the kids, and also I wanted to touch on something else. But let's talk about the books first.
Can we talk about the elephant one, the Archie one?
Yeah, honestly, so the only one that we released was called Penguins and Parrots, and it's about this penguin.
One.
Correct. Those are the ones that we printed out. And so it's about this penguin that's constantly comparing itself to a beautiful parrot that can fly and has bright colors and can do all these various things. And it's a book about, essentially, it's about valuing yourself with where you're at. It is about going through that internal, why is everyone better than me? I suck at it, just like this, like crippling anxiety, just like people don't feel good about themselves because they're constantly comparing. And so I wrote that in 2015, and I think we finally printed it right for that Love Bomb art event. And whenever I got the other two, the Archie's Marching is about an elephant, right? So it's about an elephant. In my mind, I'm envisioning like from a Jungle Book where they're all in the line and it's very militant and they're like, very structured. And so it's about this elephant and he's kind of like looking over and he notices that there's like maybe a hunter or like some predator in the cut, and the drill instructor or leader is saying, no, come on, just come on, trudge along, pansy, let's freaking go, buy your bootstraps and all this kind of bullshit. And then he's like, you know what, honestly, there's this thing over here, and the moral of that one was to sometimes you follow your heart, sometimes the people that are in charge, and this is 2015, this was, back before any of the stuff we're in now, it was, it was just about, you see the people that are leading you and they're going towards a freaking slaughter, and it's just, I don't know. It was weird because it hit me at a time whenever I like that creative flow that you're talking about, Charles. It was just like you tap into it and you go. You get it and you edit as you need to. But as soon as that light goes out, then it's like get it out and make it tangible, and then, focused from there. But yeah, that was those are
cover.
Yeah, that was from so the one who did the Penguins and Parrots, his name is Brian Barnard. He's a local artist here out of Fernandina Beach, and fantastic guy. He's been around the art and music scene here for probably 20 years. And then Ian Cleary from Heart Space Art designed the Archie's Marching and the Callie's Colors book. So it was all local.
Yeah, that was really beautiful too.
Yeah, I like that.
So those are not printed yet. Yeah. We are still in the process. The timing's never right, but sometimes you just get buried with stuff and it just doesn't, get to the right time. But yeah, so those are on the back burner. We could release those this year. We could hold on to them. The thing is, it's not like a timepiece where it's like, oh, in 2015, I was feeling sad. It's like timeless material. It's like, oh, well, I'm feeling conscious about myself. Yeah. So that's just something that I've got in the back burner. It's like photography, but I don't know why my brain does this. It's like so many things, and they manifest whenever they want to. But
you're an artist. We're all cursed with that,
right?
yeah.
I have to take drugs for that.
Right? Yeah. No, honestly, I was probably on a lot of Adderall at the time. I was like working my way through paramedic school. I was like, "There's no way I can do these tests, man, without being just because you trick yourself into thinking like, oh, unless I'm tweaking, I can't study good, and you don't realize it's basically meth until years later. And so, I was on like probably like a heavy dose and just went on this like creative like tweaking streak until I was like, oh yeah, I like this, and that's how I had my creative outlet started, And then,
so Penguins and Parrots, you're talking about people, it's like how we feel when we compare ourselves to other people, and why is everybody like I know like Tracy's always better than me. I always bring these glasses in so I can be as cool as him.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But then I just kind of realize I'm never going to be better than him. There's always going to be somebody better.
You gotta settle into it, because like it's like no one likes the sound of their own voice. Nobody is like, oh, I sound like that. Oh, I look so ugly. This, and it's like, you know what? Shut up. Just do it anyways. Nobody cares. And once you like, everybody's uncomfortable, and then
it's all in our heads anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, Zach, you recently produced a music video for one of our friends, Mal Jones.
Yes, that was such a fantastic experience. So I first saw Mal at Connection Festival maybe 10 plus years ago. It was at the Metro Park, and this was years and years ago. And he was performing there, and then next thing, because I knew he did the Lyricist Live, I would see my art walks and stuff.
Right.
Didn't know him personally. And so I was in Phoenix at the time, and I saw his Hulu episode about how they're talking about the hip hop scene in Jacksonville, Florida, and how drill rap had the negative effects. And then it was showing Mal how he had this, like 13, 14 years of violence-free art walk,
hip
hop ciphers, and so
and there's no profanity in their ciphers.
Correct. Yeah. So it
purposely does that,
right? And in a lot of ways, it makes it a little bit more challenging because you don't have those vocal crutches in a way that you can lean on. Right. But no, I get it. And so I saw his ABC Hulu episode, and I was like, damn, because we weren't fully out of the water from COVID yet at the time. I think this was like 2022 or 21, something like that, when I saw it. And I was like, man, what an opportunity, this guy. And I was blown away. And so out in Phoenix, while I was doing that, we filmed like this documentary. This crew from Jacksonville flew out, and we filmed a music video for them. And I was doing the making of the music video, and that turned into an entire thing. And the name of the music video was called Redstone. And it was this energy of this tightness in your chest from COVID and this lockdowns, and your head is screwy, and you just need to unplug and just go out off the grid and just let a deep cleanse of your soul. And that's what we did. And it was absolutely fantastic. We went into northern Arizona.
I watched a little bit earlier today. It's pretty awesome. I did a lot of work with him way back. He was I've written a book called All the Angels Come, and then they turned it into a play. And he played our main protagonist in the play. It was his first acting gig. And he did such a great job. He did wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, Miles.
And, he represented us. We'll talk about that when he comes on. But I had him and who was it that went with him? Overstreet went with him. Overstreet Ducasse came over the house one day, and I interviewed them both for Artist Magazine and talk about their Bristol experience, because Bristol's kind of like one of the art capitals of England, and I go there quite a bit. And he, so they represented Overstreet Ducasse, and Mal Jones represented us, Jacksonville and Bristol.
Oh
for the festival over there.
Yeah,
I thought that was really.
Yeah, he appeared. Yeah, he was on our podcast in the old studio back in 2021, second season, I believe it was. He came over. And ever since then, him and I have been pretty good friends. See, like you said, Zach, you see him downtown all the time. And and you produced his music video, which we were all watching, I believe, today and the last couple of days. Really well put together, Zach.
You know what? So it's easy to shit on Jacksonville, and it's hard to make it look good. And that's exactly what we try to do. We wanted to put our best foot forward and say, you know what? I don't care what, the loud idiots are doing. I don't care what these guys are doing. There are people here, boots on the ground, that are pushing the needle forward. I don't care. I don't care. You can find your people that are going and moving it forward despite the odds and despite the circumstances. And that's what we did. We found each other, and it was during this perfect storm of, because I do real estate photography for my day job mostly. It was the market was sort of slower on the holidays, and Maul does works with the school. And so we had this time where we were just able to form this really beautiful project out of pure passion. Because I reached out to him. I was like, I haven't been successful in trying to tap back into the music scene here locally, even though I've been here. People have their own people, and it's hard to establish a creative network. And so I reached out to him. I was like, yo, let's do this. I want to do this with you. I know exactly who you are. Here's some of the stuff that I've done in Phoenix. And I'd love to make this work. And man, it turned out so good. It was absolutely fantastic.
One thing that Jacksonville's really good at, when I first moved here, guys, I came here in 1972, the end of 1972. I spent my last year of high school here. Now I gave away my age. But when I came here, it was Landing Boulevard was one lane, with a line down the middle of it. The Buckman Bridge was 2 lanes, Moody Road was all dirt. It was just a whole different thing. And the word there's just zero culture. There's just zero culture here, And but I got a chance, over 30, 50 years to see this thing grow, 40 something years to watch. We have a cultural council now. We have a lot of great artists and authors and filmmakers and bands. And so, we can kind of dig at Jacksonville a bit. But one of the cool things about Jacksonville is, since a lot of this stuff is new for this city, you get a chance, say you try to do what you do in New York City. It doesn't make much of a dent in the culture because it's already there. But over here, you can make a big difference by being a first or being a massive collaborator like what you're doing, Zach, and bringing that community together and do some projects and stuff. And there's just a lot of talent here, and you can make a mark on the community and help it grow.
Absolutely.
It's less about, being a first and making a mark for yourself, but it's really great about making a change and accelerating the community culturally,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And we appreciate what you're doing because you're really making Jax look good.
Yeah, absolutely, Zach. And before we go, Zach, I want to thank you again from the bottom of my heart, and I know the other guys do too, for being with us, taking time out of your busy schedule. Have you got any closing thoughts for us?
Man, well, honestly, the reason why I moved back to Jacksonville was a year and a half ago, my mom died, right? And so me and my dad, for most of our lives, we were either too similar or thought differently and butted heads. And so a year and a half ago, my mom dies. My brain flips a switch, immediately reprioritizes everything I think about what is important and what's going to bother me and what's not, who I want to spend time with. And so I immediately left Phoenix and came back, and we've been here with him this whole time. I wanted my children to be around him, and it's been the absolute best relationship we've ever had in my entire life. It has been so absolutely, it's been what you want. It's such a beautiful place right now, I just didn't want him to be lonely. I wanted my kids to be around him. We look at each other, talk to each other with respect. This is coming from two people with opposite ends of the spectrum, like you can argue your entire life if you want, or you can realize that I'm not going to let things like this bother me anymore. And it's been such a beautiful rose that's grown through the concrete. And man, to have that relationship with him I tell you, like, if that can happen, miracles do happen. It's been absolutely fantastic. And because you think, oh, I didn't make it, but I didn't leave Phoenix I left on my own terms. I wanted to come back. It's not like I failed out. And so in my heart, it was still like, I did what I wanted to do on the West Coast. And now I just want to be close to where my dad is. And, man, that's what it made me realize, that life is fragile. Life is precious.
Sure.
This morning, someone in the local music scene here in Jacksonville, Kyle Smith, died. He was in, I believe, a car accident or something. And just so tragic. You could look on Facebook and you'll see 100 people say, I never seen anybody say one bad word about this guy. And that sort of thing is imprinted into my brain, where life, we're all gonna be dead soon. All of us will all be dead. And so you might as well do the thing that makes you happy and be with the people that make you smile often, and before you're in the grave, and that's what I got for you.
Yeah, that is true. It's all about
that.
We had someone, Ebony Williams, on the show here a while back, Charles and I, and her philosophy was about, finding that happiness within yourself. You got to do it on your own. You got to find that happy spot. So that's great stuff. That's good stuff, guys. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody being here tonight. Thank you for anyone that tuned in while we were recording here. And don't forget that next week, we will be having Mr. Mal Jones on the program, whose video was produced by Zach here.
Yeah. You might want to call in on that show.
I'm on it, man. Oh God, Mal. We really got close. It was like trauma bonding, like going out into the deployment on Iraq. It was your creative energy is so high, and man, you really feel like you're bonded. I feel like that's my brother, man. I feel I've known him forever, and It's just been like a couple weeks.
Yep.
Zach is getting me all jacked up here. After we're done, I'm going to go pick up my guitar and sit in my studio for a little while.
I'm telling you, the world is as heavy as you want it to
naked
be.
and run around.
Yeah, it is as absolutely heavy as you want it to be. You have to unplug. You have to go up to the woods in North Carolina, or you need to go to man, you will die faster than you need to. You'll have high blood pressure and stroke out. I guarantee you. Got to unplug.
Guys.
Like Tracy's like every time we do these, we always come away with something, you know.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I'm definitely energized. I want to be a rose growing out of the concrete.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, oh, God. Because, like, pick whatever opinion, man, it doesn't matter what country you live in. You got some shit going on. It's going to ruin your day. There's somebody doing something that's, and if you don't prioritize time for joy and peace, what is life?
You got to have R&R. Seriously.
Have to.
That's right.
It is critical.
Yeah.
That's
Guys.
right. Well, thank you so much.
Peace.
Thanks,
Next
Trace.
time.
All right. See you soon. Oh, balloons.
Well, that's a wrap. Another fantastic episode of the podcast. You can find us on all the social media platforms, wherever you surf, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter X, Threads, wherever. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. And on our YouTube channel, don't forget to like, share, comment, and smash that subscribe button. If you're streaming audio for the podcast, you can find us wherever you get your favorite podcast programs. In the meantime, I like to tell everybody, take care of yourselves and each other. Until next time, peace.